Ladies and gentlemen, in the history of music there have been many famous Chazzes. Chaz Jankel, Chaz Smash, Chaz Chandler of the Animals. There have also been a number of famous Daves. Dave D, Dave Clark, Dave Davis, Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. But ladies and gentlemen, there have only ever been one Chaz and Dave!
You sound like you come here for a good time. That's Andy, so are we.
Bursting onto the music scene in the early 1970s, Chaz and Dave released songs that spoke about life in London, singing in their own accents rather than that fashionable but fake transatlantic twang. With longtime drummer Mickey Burt, Chaz Hodges and Dave Peacock have worked with some of the biggest names in rock and roll.
The idea came about me writing songs and singing in my own accent. I mean, I'll go back to the 60s when I was in a band called The Outlaws, playing the bass. I stayed on bass and I joined a band called Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers later on then. Then I joined a band called Heads, Hands and Feet, and we toured America. And that's when it really started to get to me that I was in America singing in an American accent, and I just thought, this don't feel right. I want them to know that it's me singing and not, someone taking off an American. All this time I was friends with Dave, came back from America, and Dave was not quite happy with his band. And I told him my idea about writing songs about things that we knew about and singing in our own accents. He fancied the idea. And I was then ready to give up bass and put that bass over to Dave, which I did. And me and Dave got together, and that was the start of Chaz and Dave.
When we first met, me and Dave, years ago, we were both bass players in the bands that we was in. So we couldn't afford getting together because two basses don't sound all that much together, really. But in the meantime, I was learning to play the piano, and I was on the road with Jeremy Lewis. You heard of Jeremy Lewis? Well, anyway, that's when I started to learn. And years later, when me and Dave got together in 1972, that's when I gave up the bass, went on the piano, and that was the start of Chaz and Dave. But before then, we used to go around each other's houses and listen to records, and that obviously they became influential on us. So this is one that we used to listen to. You gotta give a little, take a little, let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love.
Our one love is music. I mean, we never set out, neither one of us, to say, right, we are going to be big stars. My ambition, when I was in the skiffle group, I remember going up on the stage when I was about 11 or 12 and having the most fantastic night of my life, strumming my guitar, and then coming off and someone putting a £1 note in my hand. I said, what's that for? He said, oh, it's for your night's work. Hey, you can go up. And that I remember I vowed that that's I'm going to go through life earning my living playing music. So that was my ambition.
Chaz's mum was a big influence, not just on Chaz, on me as well, because she knew more songs than anyone else would ever met in their musical careers. Just before I met Daisy, which was Chaz's mum's name, Lonnie Donegan started me off, and my Uncle Bill on the banjo when I was about 6. But I do love Jerry Lee Lewis as well, like Chaz.
Hits like Gertcha, the Sideboard Song and Rabbit were eventually picked up by advertising execs looking for tunes to front a campaign for Courage Beer.
Now I'm going back a few years when partners knew a bit about beer. If it was a Courage Fest, that's when you'd hear this strange protest. Funny glasses with a little...
As well as their string of Rockney hits, Chaz and Dave collaborated with their beloved Tottenham Hotspur, reinventing the traditional FA Cup final team song.
Tottenham's gonna do it again. They can't stop them, the boys from Tottenham, the boys from White Hart Lane.
They also scored an unlikely top 10 hit with Snooker Loopy, which taught a whole generation the order in which you should pop the balls in snooker.
Pop the racing, screw back for the early round, looping can play. Snooker looping, that's all we're all snooker.
Contributing to TV theme tunes throughout the 1980s, it's not surprising Del Boy and Rodney fancied a flutter.
The very first thing I wrote on the very first page of the very first episode of Only Fools and Horses was I want the theme music to be Chaz and Dave Rockney style. I felt they were doing musically what I was going to be doing filmically, and I wanted them on board because I just felt they represented everything I was writing.
We were in Australia at the time, and to be honest, yeah, we just got a #1 record of Ain't No Pleasing You, and we were only interested in doing stuff that we'd written ourselves.
I'd written the theme music, and I was told they'd been approached and their manager agreed, but when I actually met Chaz and Dave and their manager, nobody knew anything about it, so I think people might have been humouring me slightly.
And I think the office, they got in touch with us about this. We'd never heard of it, Fools and Horses. Said, well, yeah, OK, we're interested, but we want to write it ourselves. And we were told that the song is already written, they just want us to perform it. And, yeah, I think we turned it down.
As I'd sung the demo, I then had to go in and sing the actual theme music, which I've regretted forever, and I wish they'd done it.
And then we got to know John years later, and we did, they used Down to Margate on one of the Jolly Boys outing, I think it was.
And of course I'd already heard Margate, obviously in one of the albums, and thought, well, it seems quite apt. After we didn't get them to sing the theme music, it felt kind of satisfying that finally we got them on board doing something for us, because it just seemed so natural that Chaz and Dave should be somehow involved with Only Fools and Horses.
Whilst the TV themes, cup final songs and beer ads boosted their profile, it led to a general conception that Chaz and Dave were little more than a knees-up comedy duo, considered in some circles as a novelty act.
It's not a novelty act at all. We might do some numbers that are a bit happy, and but there's nothing wrong with that. It's the way they perform.
Because in the early days that they allowed the material to be used in the adverts, and it was also because it's a very London sound they've got as well. It's very easy for them to be viewed within quite a narrow parameter, but what people always disregard about them is that how important they are as part of the evolution of British rock and roll.
Combining music hall sentiments with rock and roll piano produced songs that were as funny as they were catchy, culminating in the achingly beautiful Ain't No Pleasing You.
I didn't realise it at the time, but it was the experience of my brother splitting up with his wife. I wrote some words down and showed them to Dave, and I said, what do you think of these? He went, yeah, so I like them. And I thought, after when I get that from, that would be brother. And I remember him saying he was putting up some curtains one day, and his wife said, them curtains, they're not straight, you know. And he turned around and said, ain't no fucking pleasing you, is there?
Over the years, I suppose, Ain't No Pleasing You is the most successful. And it's a bloody good tune, excuse my French.
It does make me cry when I hear it, There Ain't No Pleasing You, because it's so lovely. I'd still love to see them do that with a full orchestra. I think that would be fabulous. But there you go, you never know.
with jazzman Jamie Cullum saying he learnt to play the piano because of them, and even Sir Macca being a big fan. It was the glowing endorsement from the unlikeliest of sources that helped open the eyes and ears of a generation.
It was when Pete Doherty stated that Chaz and Dave were a big influence on him when he was a kid to make him want to pick up the guitar and learn to play. And we supported the Libertines at the Forum and the Brixton Academy, and we gained a lot of Libertines fans and still have today.
Pete Doherty and Cole Barrett of the Libertines emerged as serious Chaz and Dave fans, citing them as major musical influences.
And I think that helped, definitely helped. The company says, oh yeah, you know, we're fans of Libertines, but we're Chaz and Dave fans now. And yeah, it's really great.
I think the longevity of Chaz and Dave is absolutely no surprise to me at all. You know, they are craftsmen and their musical instruments are their tools and they can't do anything else.
I think their lyrics are wonderful. They're almost, at times, they're things I've heard, like Pym's Park, it's almost poetry at times. They're very, very clever writers.
There's been many highlights in our life, me and Dave, and things like being on This Is Your Life and Princess Margaret, being a big Chaz and Dave fan, having dinner with Princess Margaret. She was a lovely lady. But I think if I had to put something at the top of the list, it was the Glastonbury. We've done it twice so far, and both times have been fantastic.
We put them to play because we basically really love Chaz and Dave, and they're just one of those acts that kind of draw a complete cross-section of audience, and you've got like really young kids who are really into them, and then you've got like the old school festival goers who love them too.
We got there and we sat down and off we went, and I don't remember a thing from the time we started to the time we finished it. It was just one big buzz. Fantastic.
I got about sort of 20 yards from the tent and people were spilling out for that sort of distance outside the tent, and it was just thousands and thousands of people who turned up to see Chaz and Dave at Glastonbury, and I didn't get anywhere near the tent. I'd stand outside and just sort of listen.
We love doing live shows, always will do, so we'll always have an audience that will want to come to see us. And there's memorable songs, that's why people continue to come to see us. They know the songs. I mean, nowadays, more so than ever.
There's a primal sort of rhythm to it, to rock and roll, and that is what they play. They're not a pub rock band, they're a rock and roll band.
Since their debut album was released in 1975, they have attracted a wide audience for their original, uniquely British rock and roll style.
This took us a long time. I mean, we've always gone down good since we started, but if we started in 1972, it's like 30 odd years later, at last we're getting the reaction that we would want to get. That is great.
Chaz and Dave will go till the day they drop, and which I hope is many, many years away.
The embodiment of musical heritage and all things great about British music.
Perhaps I just ain't got it. Perhaps I never will.
It's a great feeling that you don't know when you never know how you're going to feel when you wake up in the morning at any time in your life that you're going to look forward to the day. You don't. You hope you are. But it's a great feeling when you think, like today I woke up and thought, I'm gigging tonight down the bed, great. I'm sure a cup of tea, and that's what life is all about, that you wake up and you feel, yeah, I'm looking forward to what I'm going to do today. And that's what I hope I always will do.